A long-standing feud between rap artist Drake and Kendrick Lamar is once again heating up after the release of diss tracks back to back. And we really mean back to back to back to back.
They're really poets. They're really two people who have the ability to see, listen, and then spit back lyrics that are very intriguing for people.
It started like a scorched love letter soaked in gasoline. Drake's surprise drop of What Did I Miss on July 5 didn't just light up streaming platforms. It exploded like a Molotov through the stained glass windows of loyalty, aimed squarely at the very people who used to be in his inner circle. This wasn't just another jab in a years-long lyrical war with Kendrick Lamar. No, this was the sound of a man unraveling, alone in a gilded fortress, betrayed by ghosts who once toasted to his wins. In the track, Drake doesn't dance around the drama. He staggers into it, raw and reckless. "How can some people I love hang around who try me?" he spits. An accusation that isn't just petty, it's surgical. And then the coup de grace. Love for my brothers and to a traitor. Not disappointment, not silence. That's not hyperbole in rap. It's a declaration of war. And the battlefield? His own bloodline, his own camp. If Not Like Us was Kendrick's nuke over the skyline of Toronto, then What Did I Miss is Drake, crawling from the rubble, bruised, spitting teeth and fire, blaming not just his enemy but the ones who didn't shield him from the blast. Picture it. Somewhere inside that opulent mansion, probably still drying out from that infamous July flood, Drake is pacing marble floors, replaying every backroom handshake and Instagram like. Did he see a smile too wide at Kendrick's pop-out concert? Did a longtime collaborator post one too many fire emojis under DJ Mustard's West Coast anthem? Fans didn't just cheer for Not Like Us in LA, they screamed it 5 times over in the middle of his own city. That song didn't just win the crowd, it baptized them.
Musically, I think this was great. The only thing that I don't like is, and this is what we're here to talk about this morning, right. I don't like seeing these brothers Me Tooing each other over a rap feud.
So now Drake's not just going after Kendrick, he's looking at everyone who clapped, nodded, or remained suspiciously quiet. There's a line in the song that slips under the radar if you blink. "I saw bro went to pop out with them, but been writing gang since headlines." This isn't rap beef, this is a man counting Judas kisses. And the venom doesn't come in 16 bars, it comes in memories of private parties, studio sessions, wire transfers, shared secrets. Drake's rage feels personal because it is personal. He's not just venting, he's naming ghosts. But here's where things get murky, real murky. Whispers have begun circling, soft at first, now growing louder, that someone in Drake's camp might have fed Kendrick's crew information. Fake? Real? A setup? Maybe all three? "We plotted for a week and then we fed you the information," he rapped in The Heart, Part 6, smug and calculating. But who was doing the feeding? A disgruntled assistant? A fired road manager? A brother who didn't blink when Kendrick accused Drake of harboring unforgivable secrets? Because let's not forget, Kendrick came armed with specifics: a mystery daughter, a possible fixation with younger women, ties to collaborators with deeply problematic histories. Drake fired back, denying it all, but also hinting that some of it was planted. False flags, decoys. If that's true, if someone inside OVO turned mole, it would explain the venom, it would explain the paranoia, and it would put Kendrick's lyrical sniping in a whole new light.
Those are some heavy accusations, and it's not like they're really trying to hold each other accountable. They just throwing these types of accusations around to attempt to ruin the image of the other, and that's whack to me. Other than that,
so when Drake hisses to a traitor, maybe it isn't a metaphor. Maybe it's a breadcrumb. Maybe that traitor isn't just some mid-tier rapper trying to stay relevant by buddying up to Kendrick. Maybe it's someone who knew exactly where to plant the lie because they'd once helped him build the truth. Someone who shared his house, or worse, his trust. There's another line in What Did I Miss that feels overlooked in the smoke. "Y'all been on that type of timing for too long?" That's not an attack on Kendrick. That's a mirror held up to his own people, and if we're being honest, some of them haven't exactly been subtle. A producer from OVO seen chatting it up with a member of TDE backstage at the pop-out. A longtime DJ who suddenly unfollows Drake but starts spinning Not Like Us at Toronto clubs. That's not shade. That's strategy.
Now, Halle Berry is mad at Drake. That's because Drake posted a picture of her being slimed, and this was saying that he was going to put out his new record. She didn't like it.
And yet, despite the lyrical body shots, despite the cold shoulder from those who once rode his wave, Drake still appeared in that livestream, cruising through the streets of a city that had just danced on his reputation, waving like nothing was broken. He called it Iceman, Episode 1. The performance started with a tray of food and a freezer full of firearms. It ended with Drake inside a literal ice warehouse, rapping through clenched teeth, surrounded by cold steel and colder silence. He might have smiled for the camera, but everything about that video screamed isolation. The man looked like he was performing for ghosts. And maybe he was. It's hard not to connect this spiral to what's happening behind closed doors. The flooding of his mansion? Convenient timing for Kendrick's fans, who took to social media faster than a wildfire. Kendrick got Drake's house to flood, they joked, but the image stuck. A literal sinking of the kingdom. The symbolism wrote itself. Washed out, drenched in humiliation, retreating from a city that no longer chants his name. If karma exists in hip-hop, it wore soggy carpets and espresso martini jokes this time around.
Cause this is a beef that I didn't think would ever remotely get violent.
No, I didn't either.
So now y'all
I thought they
wishing-
would put on backpacks and then start
That's what I'm
battling.
saying.
And
Now
SOB.
y'all
That's what I
wishing
thought.
So what is Drake doing now? Striking back or spiraling? What did I miss doesn't sound like a man fighting for the crown. It sounds like a man trying to find out who stole the keys to his empire. And the real twist? That empire might already be slipping away. If the rumors are true, that someone on his own payroll handed Kendrick the blueprint for Meet the Grams, Euphoria, maybe even Not Like Us, then Drake's entire foundation is compromised. That's not just a loss, that's an implosion. Fans online are dissecting the lyrics, trying to identify who Bro is, who Drake saw at the pop-out. The speculation ranges from obscure producers to big-name collaborators. But one theory stands out, that the leak came not from a peer, but from someone tied to Drake's alleged surveillance attempts on Kendrick. A digital mole inside his failed spy network that makes things dangerous. If Drake did try to infiltrate TDE, or worse, if he didn't but someone thought he did, the retaliation could have come disguised as a track but delivered as a data dump. That could explain Kendrick's eerie confidence, his surgical precision.
Now that shooting has certainly turned a spotlight on that feud. The two rappers have been engaged in a lyrical battle in recent weeks, and that heated up this past weekend.
And maybe, just maybe, that's what Drake missed. Not the bars, not the beat, but the betrayal. The chess move he never saw coming. While he was calculating how to out-rap Kendrick, Kendrick might have been calculating how to make the world believe in monsters, and how to make Drake's own team help him do it. Now the fans are left wondering, did the kingdom fall from enemy fire, or did it rot from the inside out? And is Iceman just an album, or Drake's attempt to freeze the bleeding before the whole thing goes black? But if What Did I Miss was Drake's way of lashing out, then the Iceman rollout was his theater of war. A live stream that played like an art house horror film crossed with a hostage video, beamed straight from Toronto's frostbitten veins. It opened with drone footage of a nondescript warehouse, cold and industrial, a phony phone number slapped across the screen, the website, theiceman.com, flickering like a trapdoor, and then Drake appeared. Not on a throne, not in a club, but in a break room surrounded by old footage of himself, guns on the TV behind him, eating takeout like a man watching his own legacy unravel in real time.
After the single and its art drop, she went on social media and said sometimes you just have to be the bigger guy, even if you're a woman.
Then came the freezer, a cavern of ice blocks and condensation where Drake rapped directly into camera, frost clinging to every bar. He wasn't sweating, he was frozen. Symbolism or confession? He called it power. But what kind of king needs this much armor to prove he hasn't been dethroned? For all its swagger, the Iceman stunt reeked of desperation, an elaborate attempt to freeze the narrative before it could burn him. But this wasn't a victory lap. This was a man staging his own resurrection, and it might have worked if Toronto hadn't already made up its mind. That's what truly stings. The betrayal didn't come from some rival label in LA or an online burner account. It came from the very city Drake tattooed across his soul. When Kendrick Lamar stormed Toronto with Not Like Us performing it 5 times in a row, the crowd didn't just cheer, they sang, bar for bar, a West Coast anthem echoing through the streets of the 6 while OVO sweatshirts stood frozen in place. That wasn't just a concert, that was a symbolic stoning.
And what's the point of asking if you're gonna do what you want to do anyway? At least if, you didn't ask and you did it, you can apologize.
Right.
We all saw it, the moment Kendrick turned Drake's home turf into a stage for public humiliation. This wasn't Meek Mill in Philly or Pusha T in the booth. This was a calculated cultural flip, a reverse invasion. And it worked. Kendrick didn't just diss Drake, he rewired the pride of a city. We heard fans who once screamed God's plan now shout certified pedophile on the beat drop. We saw murals tagged, shops vandalized, and OVO-branded boutiques leaking respect faster than the mansion's storm drains. Toronto didn't just turn, it flipped. And maybe Kendrick knew it would. Maybe that was the plan all along. A surgical operation designed not to out-rap Drake, but to erase his grip on identity itself. Because Drake hasn't just been selling albums, he's been selling Toronto. And when your own product starts rejecting you, the damage isn't just personal, it's structural. But Kendrick's power move only works if Drake's empire truly has cracks. And some insiders are whispering that the fault lines go deeper than even Kendrick guessed. the spy network rumors have begun circling with a vengeance. We've heard speculation that Drake may have greenlit a digital dragnet, one allegedly designed to map Kendrick's inner circle, collect scraps of information, bait him with false leads. The Iceman stunt itself might have been the message, we're watching. We're already inside. And if that's true, then the narrative of betrayal in What Did I Miss becomes even darker. Was Drake betrayed by allies? Or was it fallout from a covert war that never stayed clean?
That track, have it listened to and have the world kind of respond, is something that has not necessarily been the case in hip-hop history.
One former industry security consultant, someone with ties to both OVO and Republic Records, has claimed there were whispers of encrypted texts, burner phones, and dry contacts with ties to influencers in Kendrick's world. Nothing has been confirmed, but the question lingers. Did Drake plant stories about himself to bait Kendrick into overreaching? And if so, what did he lose in the process? Because not all sacrifices are strategic. Some are irreversible. The image was almost too on the nose to be real. Dirty, yellowish water pouring through the polished marble floors of Drake's Toronto mansion, a home that once symbolized his untouchable status, now sloshing with sewage and irony. Fans quickly turned the moment into meme fodder, calling it divine payback, a cosmic leak triggered by Kendrick himself. One post even claimed, half seriously, that Kendrick didn't recycle, and global warming flooded the embassy. The narrative spread faster than the floodwater. In the middle of Drake's most humiliating public feud, his literal house was collapsing.
The musical brawl, believed to date back to more than a decade ago when the two first collaborated with each other, then turned against each other.
But what should have been a freak weather incident turned into an eerie metaphor. This was the place Drake built his kingdom from. A sprawling estate nicknamed the Embassy, designed with the subtlety of a Bond villain's hideout, suddenly reduced to soaked furniture and viral mockery. The moment wasn't just embarrassing, it was symbolic. While Kendrick was claiming cultural ground in Drake's own city, nature itself seemed to be dragging his legacy through the mud. In a feud built on perception, the optics were brutal. And it didn't stop there. In the same stretch of weeks, Drake had also lost hundreds of thousands betting on both the Oilers and Team Canada, watched the charts favor Kendrick's Not Like Us over any of his responses, and weathered growing online scrutiny over past allegations. The universe wasn't just cold, it felt like it was conspiring, as if the emotional unraveling we saw in his lyrics was manifesting in real time. Failed bets, vanishing allies, and now a literal flood at the gate. For fans who believe in energy, in karma, in hip-hop's strange and sometimes poetic justice, this string of losses feels less like coincidence and more like reckoning. Drake, once the golden child of mainstream rap, now looks like a man cursed by his own momentum. His carefully constructed world, a life engineered around control, seems to be rejecting him. The iced-out truck, the live stream freezer, the looming warehouse shots, all of it in hindsight reads more like a bunker than a comeback, a man bracing for the storm, not surviving it. So we're left asking, is Drake truly under attack from his rivals, or is he being swallowed by something he triggered himself, a slow spiral of ego, pride, and unchecked ambition? The flood isn't just a disaster, it's a question mark, not about who's winning the beef, but about whether Drake can still recognize himself in the mirror of his own myth. Because when your house is sinking and your enemies are dancing on your lawn, sometimes it's not a diss track you need. Sometimes it's an exorcism. Let's not forget, Kendrick's accusations hit hard because they weaponized the one thing Drake has never truly mastered: perception. Allegations of inappropriate relationships, secret fatherhood, manipulation. It doesn't matter if any of it's true, it matters that Kendrick said it, and that people believed it. Drake responded with denials, bars, sarcasm, but the wound stayed open, and every time someone replays Not Like Us, the story cements deeper, not because of evidence, but because of energy.
Drake is among a list of rappers potentially appearing as witnesses in the trial of South Florida rapper XXXTentacion.
Drake can claim it's smoke and mirrors, he can claim he fed the information, but even that confession is a paradox. If you plant lies to bait your opponent, and they work, did you just destroy them? Or did you destroy yourself by making the lie feel realer than the truth? The answer may lie in what comes next. Because let's be clear, What Did I Miss didn't feel like an end. It felt like a beginning, a prelude, a shot across the bow. Drake didn't drop that track to concede defeat, he dropped it to warn us, to let us know he's not finished. And the Iceman persona, that's not just branding, that's camouflage. Cold, calculating, wait. Insiders are already whispering about a second wave, an album that won't just respond, but rebuild. A project allegedly laced with names, files, buried verses that may take aim not just at Kendrick, but at the music industry's hypocrisy itself. If true, it could blow the lid off everything. Or it could backfire so catastrophically it burns the last thread of credibility Drake has left. Because make no mistake, this isn't about who can write the best bar. This is about legacy, control, narrative dominance. In a world where perception is reality, Drake's war with Kendrick has become something bigger than either of them. It's about who controls the story of this era and who's willing to burn everything to stay on top. So the question we're all left with isn't who won the battle. It's this. What happens when the king who built the castle lights it on fire from the inside? And as the flames rise, the frost cracks and the city that made him turns away. Will Drake rise from the ashes stronger than ever? Or is this the sound of his empire collapsing into ice? Let us know what you think. Is Drake playing chess while Kendrick plays checkmate? Or has the Iceman already lost control of the board? Drop your thoughts in the comments, stay sharp, and don't blink, because this feud is far from frozen. Until next time, stay bold, stay curious, and remember, in the world of celebrity warfare, loyalty is just another line in the song.